everyone. Welcome to the Career Theory. We are back with another episode. I am your host, Devamtala. I have my co host, Ramesh. In our last episode with Anand, we learned a lot about how the importance of the personal development in your career development. Today, we are bringing in another most popular, impactful guest, S.V Nathan, who is a Chief Talent Officer at the Deloitte South Asia. And he'll be joining us shortly. And we will be going over a lot of quality time spending with him talking about how we can help ourselves by improving in our elevating in our career from his extraordinary journey. With that, let's get into the show.
Hello, Sai. Thank you so much. Yes, we have been having a lot of fun and learning with great people on our podcast. If anyone hasn't checked it out, please do. There is a lot of value that can shift your personal and career life into an extraordinary journey. And yes, that's what I'm talking about, an extraordinary journey, which is why we are bringing you another popular guest, Nathan SV, to you all. Let's get into the show right away. To introduce S.V. Nathan, he's a partner and chief talent officer at Deloitte South Asia, a storyteller, a blogger, and a great keynote speaker. One of the inspirations for my personal life, the only in person keynote speaker I have attended in my life was Nathan Sir. He also serves as the national president of the National HR Development Network, which is NHRDN, an immediate past chairman of Sumedas and Academy of Human Context, and was a distinguished alumni of XLRI Jamshedpur. Recently, he was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award for his contribution to human resources in India by Economic Times. And he's very well known for his favorite hashtag, which is very famous. It's called Office Truths, and also top 25 voices in LinkedIn. And the list doesn't stop here. Let's directly learn from Nathan about his personal journey. Hello, Nathan, sir. Before we get to the topics on the podcast, could you please take us through your journey for our audience?
Oh, that's easy. Uh, so before I take you into my journey, I'll share with you a small story.
Absolutely.
So this is a story of a grandmother. This grandmother had all of but one leg. Very inspiring. She used to live in a very modest house. There was only one room out there, which was everything right from a kitchen, bedroom,
Mhm.
everything, living room, everything was just there. And she was a woman of very meager means. Each day in the evening, she used to she used to share a number of stories in her drawing room. Her drawing room was the sidewalk
Mm.
of the building that was adjacent. So she used to sit on the sidewalk, and then a lot of children used to mill around her and listen to her stories. And they were always about a lot of mythology, very inspiring stories. And it so happened that one day there was the storytelling, and of course, if you have to get in children to come and listen to your stories, you have to give them something. So she used to have a bowl of rice, and she used to make some curd in it, and then she used to just pass this around. And one day, what happened was, when she was recounting a story, one of the boys happened to look away and not listen to her or not look at her. She got very annoyed. She just simply uh, had a swipe at that boy, a tight slap, and then the boy looked at the grandmother and said, "Grandma, what happened? Why did you slap me?" He says, "Because you're not listening to me."
Mm.
So the grandmother then asked, "But why did you look away?" So he said, "Because I saw a car passing by." So he said, "What about the car?" He said, "Grandma, can I ever sit in a car?" Now, this is for a young boy who has not seen the world, never sat in a car, and for him, just watching a car go by was a big deal.
Yeah.
So the grandmother looks up at the boy and says, "Hey, you will sit in a car, and when you sit in a car, you will drive that car. That car will be yours. And if you're sitting behind, the car will be yours. The driver will be a person that you will pay for, and that is how you will be in a car." So this
Wow.
boy looks up at the grandmother and says, "Grandma, you really think I can sit in a car? Now this is eyes all glowing." She says, "Yes, but you got to work very hard for it. You got to study a lot, and I'm sure you can make it." Now each day, as I sit in my car and I go either to work or go outside, I'm reminded of that story because that boy who got that tight slap that day is speaking to you today.
Oh my
Wonderful.
God. Wow.
Wonderful.
That's an
So
amazing story.
I always remember
Inspiring.
all it requires. So she used to say, "You've got to have a dream. If
Wow.
there is
Wow.
something that you aspire, then you just got to work hard and work towards it." And that's all that I received from my grandmother. Well, she died
That's
with just one leg on, but she
mm,
was the most inspiring woman in my life. The
Wow.
other, of course, was my mother, but that's another story.
this is
Absolutely.
definitely amazing. And you've touched a lot of things that we talk in personal development world, which is manifestation, a vision, a goal that is really important for us to look forward to what we are really passionate about, and there is a purpose that is driving us towards it. Really powerful message. I love it. I really love it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. With that itself is a goal that is handed over from a generation to a next generation versus a goal that we have taken up from the society is I can see I can relate to your story. In my case, it's not my grandmother, it is my mother, but I can relate to that story. Thank you so much for sharing that. With that, I wanted to ask you about uh, being a chief talent officer at an elite organization like Deloitte, which involves a lot more work for you on a day-to-day basis, which might consume a lot of your personal time. On top of this, you have this additional.
Yes.
So what I did was I was then studying in a corporation school,
Mm,
and things became better at home than my father could afford.
mm,
Um, Beyond a public school, he got me into a private school, which was with better teachers and so on. That's what happened in those days. The circumstances got better,
mm,
and then we kept moving from one city to another depending on what he wanted. I always wanted to be an engineer.
mm,
My mother wanted me to be a doctor.
mm,
I secured admissions into both engineering as well as medicine.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, my father could not afford me in another city where we were staying because we then got transferred. And I then came into the city of Madras, called
Mm.
Chennai today,
Mhm.
yes.
and I was then hunting for a seat for engineering. Everybody promised me a seat, but they said you got to come the following year because you're already late. I didn't want to
Mm,
waste a year. So I went into one of these colleges and I showed them my several certificates because I used to be an athlete in my younger days. Lots
mm,
of I'd done a few things, like I
mm,
was part of the National Cadet Corps,
mm,
and I was so the colleges gave me a chance. So I
mm,
still remember when I asked for a seat in economics because
mm,
that's what I wanted to do because
yes.
I just couldn't get engineering.
Yes.
So the professor said, "How about mathematics?" Mathematics was not a subject that I liked,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
I decided that I will do something about it. And
Mm,
it so happened that I did very well in mathematics. After my 3 years, I besides doing just mathematics, I did a lot in that college
Mhm.
mm,
and ended up as the best outgoing student of Vivekananda College. But
wow.
the one which is material there is, as I sit back and and think about my past, if you don't get what you like what you get, and then
Yeah.
work very hard on that.
Oh,
Wow.
And I
awesome.
worked very hard on my mathematics, subject that I didn't really enjoy, but I did well. I started to like mathematics. I then wanted to do my business management and ended up doing a human resources management. Fortunately, it's India is number one in Asia. It's the number one business school for human resources. So I secured admission, and even
Mhm.
there I did very well academically. And I went into one of the. I mean, I was a topper from XLRI Jamshedpur.
Wow.
Wow.
I still remember I intentionally in those days you didn't have much of a choice. I intentionally joined an organization which had a good culture. Now, how do you define culture? You're on a campus, there are a lot of people coming by,
Right.
Mhm.
everybody is offering some job or the other. You you can sense the culture of a place
Mm.
by the people that you meet. And therefore I met about 4 or 5 people on the panel, and at the college I realized that I wanted to be with this particular organization. Of course, since I had done well academically, I got a chance to look at the top three. One of
Mhm.
them, Unilever, the other one was a tobacco company, and the third one was a British chemical giant. I chose the British chemical giant called ICI, and I stuck to what I wanted, and I was in it.
Mm.
Although I got from Unilever's an opportunity to work in marketing, and they said, forget human resources, come into marketing, I stayed with my core.
Mm.
Got it. Got
And today, after many years, I ask myself, did I make the right choice?
Mm.
I do believe I made the right choice
it. Yes.
because much of the decisions that we take in life, we have to live with that decision if you're firmly strong of mind. But we have to also work exceedingly hard at the profession that you have taken. It doesn't
Awesome.
matter. I have moved from industries, Dave. I have moved from manufacturing to services to software, IT, and then professional services.
Mm.
If I've served in any one industry, the longest it has been professional services. And all of them are different. All of them have their own charm.
Yes.
But the
Absolutely.
key is, if you're going to be making a change,
Mm.
I realized making a change into another industry got me to learn, got me to grow.
Mm.
Wow.
So if I look at my almost 40 years of learning, I realize that if you have to grow, you have to move through industries because then it adds a lot of luster to
Mm.
your own
Mm.
career and to your
Wow.
own persona.
Wow.
So let me give
Absolutely.
this back to you, Sai.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
With that,
Absolutely.
with that, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. It looks like when you are explaining your story about your college, it seems like you are so clear on what you want by the time you are in your college. Like, how did you got that level of clarity as a young graduate where there could be a lot of distractions? What is it that fueled to have that level of clarity at that point of time?
So, Dev, I'll tell you, I'll keep you honest there. I had no clarity, zero clarity. I had everybody confused the wits out of me. I
Yeah.
think people try to be very helpful, so they give you a lot of suggestions.
Correct.
Mm,
Unfortunately, when you get hooked on to somebody's line of thought, there is
Mm.
another person who unhooks you and puts them onto their thought.
Mm.
mm,
The only thing that you can do is you can sit back and you can look at all of that and
Mm.
do what not your mind tells you, but
Mm.
do what your heart tells you. If it is in consonance
mhm.
with your mind, I think you got it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I told myself, I don't think I can do English, I can do Sanskrit, I can do economics. If it is going to be mathematics, let me live with it.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Let me
Awesome.
be satisfied with what I get.
Mm,
But that which I get, I will work very hard. And I think those choices that we make in our lives, if we start to keep debating those choices, did I make that right choice? Did I make that right choice?
Mm.
Then you never give your 100% to the choice that you make.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Yes.
If the 100% that you give is in the questioning of that choice, you're not giving 100% to the choice that you make.
Oh, absolutely. That
Absolutely
is
agreed.
so much profound that you said.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
even with respect to our career, a lot of times what happens to a young person who's starting their career, they always get stuck with that one question when they start is, am I starting right? Because people have so many other options. Am I doing it right? And while they think about all that, they are never giving the 100% or beyond to what it is coming on their way. And that's something I personally have experienced as well. If whatever is coming on our way, if I give 100% and beyond, it's going to take me places. And it did. And I completely agree that it's very essential for you to stick with whatever you get, but with complete heart, passion, purpose, whatever you can put into it, and then take it to another level wherever you can possibly reach. Really
Very
powerful
true.
message, Nathan, sir. And
Thank you.
on the same line, when you were saying about that during this course of your career, there was a point where you decided that making the change is essential. Adding that impact to people around you is important. Adding value to someone else's life is really essential. And I think I just wanted to touch on that. What makes you feel really passionate when you add that value to others, and how you feel at the end of the day, because you have had a lot of personal experience in this career, and a lot of people are inspired because of what you're doing to their personal life, including me. And just wanted to hear from your point of
So,
view.
Bharat, I do a lot of running, or rather, I did a lot of running in my younger days.
Awesome.
Mm.
And I remember, in retrospect, if you look at your career, it's like a marathon. Is one where when you start, you're
Mm,
not really at the head of the pack.
mm,
Your only job in a marathon,
mm.
you have to just run.
Yes.
That's the only ask of you. You have to keep running.
Absolutely.
And just because somebody is in front of you, it does not mean that they're going to win that race. Just
Absolutely.
because you are in front of another person does not again mean that you're going to win that race.
Absolutely.
The only thing that you have to do is you have to keep running, you have to keep enjoying that, because in all of that you will find your answers.
Oh my God. This
Many,
was,
many years ago,
yes.
I ran one of these in Hyderabad where I live. Deloitte organizes something called a 10K run. Part of that? Okay, good.
We have a picture. We have a picture after the 10K. So,
So Ramesh, you will relate to this.
yes.
So Bharat, you'll relate to this. One time, it so happened that the race was supposed to start at 5:30 in the morning. So we were all there at about 5 o'clock, quarter past 5, and we all warmed up, making sure that when the when the clap is on, then we'll start to run.
Mm.
Unfortunately, when we were all set, the clap didn't go off at 5:30, and they said there is a delay
Mm.
of another 10 minutes. Now, people who do some running in their lives, they know that when you're warmed up, there is a process of warm down as well. And
Mm.
even before I realized, I'd completely warmed down,
Mm,
and I was absolutely uh, waiting for the race to start. Now, if the race is to start, again, you got to warm up. They
yes.
didn't give us any chance
Yes.
for a warm up.
Yes.
Suddenly, the the clapper went off,
Yes.
and we were off to a start.
Yes.
When you're warmed down, and I tried to run,
Mm,
I found that I had a very severe cramp
Wow.
in my left leg.
mm,
Mm.
I just could not run, and
mm,
I very quietly I moved over to the side.
mm,
Mm.
And at that point in time, there was a colleague of mine, and he held me by my arm, and he said, "Nathan, you cannot stop this race.
Right.
You cannot stop running this race. Come, let's
Mm,
try to walk, even if
mm,
you can't run. So I said,
mm,
I can't even walk. He said, then hobble. So then
mm.
we started hobbling, and he then kept me by the side. And all he said was, in front of you is
Mm,
a white colored flag.
mm.
Let us run towards that. It
Wow.
was excruciating run to just run those 15 meters to that white flag.
Wow.
And then I started to hobble, 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 get to that place, all in huge pain. And then he said, okay, you see that yellow flag in front, which is just
Mm.
another 15 meters, let's run there.
Oh my
And
Uh,
then
God.
I ran to that yellow flag, and then the green flag, then the violet flag, and all the colors of the rainbow, as it were. And
Mm.
before I knew what had happened, I didn't realize it, but I was running. I
Wow.
also
absolutely.
didn't realize that the person who helped me was nowhere in sight, because when
Oh,
I finished that race, I was among the top five.
wow.
Now
Wow.
that is not material, Bharat.
Yes, yes,
That
yes.
is not material thing. What is material on that particular day is a completely, um, let's say, a person could be very selfish. He could have run that race. He could have even won that race.
Hmm.
Mm.
He did not do that. He stood by my side,
Yes.
and he made me do all of that 100 meters. He held my shoulder,
Hmm.
and then he made me hobble. He made me walk. He made me run, and and then I was nowhere in sight, and we ran. I thought he was running by my side, but
Got it. Got it.
maybe
Got it.
Yeah.
I just ran. So for me, that learning was, if somebody is giving so much to you,
Hmm. Hmm.
you can give a lot to others. And
Yes.
are you
Mm.
doing enough of that?
Yes.
So many a time, at the end of the day, I ask myself, has there been any one good deed that
Hmm.
I have done
Mm.
for any person, be it at work, off work?
Hmm.
And if the
Hmm.
answer is yes, it's a day well lived. I don't
Wow.
Wow.
want any gratitude to be expressed, nothing.
Yes.
All
Yes.
I think is, it is one more flag that
Mm.
I've helped another person to walk by. That's all.
Oh, oh my
That
God.
That's
is
Oh my
that
God.
is that is very profound, sir. And then in that race, probably each of those flags are, probably we can call them as the short-term goals that we have. Like, you are, as soon as you are finishing the short-term goal, you are like moving on. If you cannot run, walk. If you cannot walk, wobble. But keep accomplishing those or reaching those short-term goals so that you will be able to accomplish that final goal. But don't stop.
Wow,
that's right.
really powerful. And trust me, Nathan, sir, I think that was my first ever 10K. I don't know if it's the same period, but it was around 2012, 2013. And that was my first ever 10K. And I dared to ask you for a picture, whereas, others were thinking, and you actually approved and agreed. And I was so grateful for that day. I immediately posted that picture on my Facebook for sure. And everyone was asking, how could you ask Nathan, sir, for a picture? And I was like, I didn't know. I was so delighted, excited about the moment. And I had one person who was always inspiring to me because of that keynote speech you gave. And anytime I looked at you, I was like, I need to take a picture with Nathan, sir. And that's how I got mine. And since then, I'll be honest, me and Sai, we are part of high performance group, mastermind groups, where we run half marathons, we run marathons. In 2020, we also did close to 500 miles throughout the year. And we can definitely relate to what you're talking about,
Talking
being
about,
a
yeah.
marathon runner versus a sprinter. It's a lot
Yeah.
of difference. It builds the
Well,
resilience uh, in your whole personal life, professional life, wherever you are. You just go on, go on, go on. And
yeah.
I'm really happy that you kind of shared that powerful message with us.
Yeah.
Really powerful.
Especially when you are reminding about those cramps. How many times I got struck on the road with the
Yes,
cramps.
yes.
Thank you. With that, let me touch base on one of the point that you talked about, which is about when you are work hard at it. Now, if you see the literature, if you see the messaging around, people talk about you should be working smart. You should not be working hard. Now, I wanted to. ask, what is the difference between hard work and smart work according to you?
So I think the difference between a hard work and a smart work is doing the right things and doing things right. So doing things right is a lot about the hard work. If you put all the hard work, you can do those things right. You got to be careful, you'll do all that stuff.
Hmm.
But doing the right things is going to be absolutely crucial for us.
Can
Doing
you
the right things, I mean,
can you give an
these are
example?
very, very strategic uh, move that you will make in your life because I'll give you an example.
Hmm.
There was a day when I had to make a choice because I had a job with somebody who was going to pay me a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, it's a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
then the other one could get me to learn, get me to do something completely different. I've never done that in my life. I
Hmm.
would learn a lot
Hmm.
and bring back a lot of youthfulness into my life, a lot of green.
Mm.
And
Oh.
I had to make a choice.
Yes.
What do I want? And the distraction is very high, Dave.
Mm.
Hmm.
When you're a lot younger,
Mm.
almost 20, 25 years ago, what do I need? Greenbacks.
Absolutely. I can
I
understand
don't
that.
need anything more. I mean, that's what I'm working for. I went to
Hmm.
this school and that school and worked hard and did all that, and finally I was going to see the color of the money.
Hmm.
Mm.
And then I said, here is an opportunity to work in a place I can learn, I can grow, maybe influence. I can learn a lot about the culture, maybe influence the culture perhaps. But
Yes.
more importantly, this is the place that can get me to do a lot more in my life than where I am today.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
I made that choice. So doing things right, as good as saying, okay, I can do all this. Doing things right is okay. You get onto the job, you will still do the things right. But doing the right things,
Hmm.
the things that will make a difference to your life, your career, the way that you think, it's important to join the right company, Dave.
Hmm.
Many times we don't realize this.
Hmm.
We don't realize that joining the right company is important. I won't talk to you about which point in my life. There was once uh, a time when I had to make a choice to
Hmm.
continue in a place for a month more, and that place would have given me my stock options, and they were running into several zeros,
Hmm.
and then you can add a number which you wish. And I felt that there was something which was being done there that I could not be party to.
Wow. Hmm.
So the right thing for me to do was move away. I
Hmm.
moved away because I think
Wow.
that's the right thing. Today, in retrospect, I'm far more happy. When I go to bed, I don't have any worry.
Yes.
I the a peaceful mind is the softest pillow.
So
I
to
love
to
it.
to summarize, what you're saying is hard work is something that we have to put, that is absolutely must, but the smart work is like the right work that you put together is going to become your smart work eventually. It's not something that is like equivalent to the hard work. Don't just get away or carried away with the word smart work thinking that you would just spend less number of hours and get it magically out of your system. That's called as smart work. No, that's not called as smart work. That's the
Yeah.
point you wanted to make, right?
Yeah, you see, the whole thing is about choice making.
Hmm.
Correct. Decision making. Yep.
The whole thing is about choice making, the way that you decide. Are we going in the right path? And many a time we do it very unknowingly, Dave.
Hmm.
Mm.
So Bharat, if you step back,
Yes.
what would you do if you're driving in a completely unknown place? You have a GPS. You look
Mm.
at the map. You look
Mm.
at the map all the time.
Yes. 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 Yes.
You look
Very,
at the
very.
map all the time because you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. You're
Right
going to
thing
the right place,
and not missing a turn.
not
Yes.
missing a turn. Yeah,
Yes.
you're doing all the right things.
Yes.
But the one is, did you make the right choice of going to that place?
Mm.
That is smart.
Boom.
I mean, I have a choice
Wow.
of doing this.
Yeah.
I have a choice of using my time somewhere. What
Yeah.
is being smart?
Mm.
I
Wow.
think those decisions are entirely left to us. And many a time you sit back, okay, do I do I go pubbing with my friends, or do I um, do I go and visit a friend of mine who
Hmm.
is convalescing in a hospital? Both
Hmm.
of them are important because
Exact.
one is about connecting with the child in you.
Yes.
The other one is connecting with the friend in you, the parent in you, the
Mhm.
brother in you, the sister in you, right?
Basically, the human in
So
you.
that's the one. So I don't know what is smart work, but I will say this: the, being smart is in the choice making,
Mm.
Mm.
and in the choices that you make, giving it your best is the other one. Is doing things right.
Mm.
Whatever that you want to take, do a good job of that.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Love it. And on the same topic, when we were touching about different aspects of your career, and there are so many things you have personally learned, the reason why I said you are the only person when I was growing up was someone whom I saw and got inspired. I'll tell you the quick story, Sai, so that you can relate to it as well. It was, I think, around a couple of months into Deloitte, and we were called into a kind of a auditorium, and there were people waiting, and someone said, oh, Nathan sir is coming, Nathan sir is coming. And I was very curious, everyone's so excited about Nathan sir, and I haven't seen him personally, I have heard about him a lot. And this person walks into the stage with an amazing aura which I cannot explain, because I literally had goosebumps when I was sitting there. The reason was just the walk, the way he was walking, the way he was carrying himself, the way he completed his keynote with lot of content which was impactful for me, took my breath away. And that day till today, I have been really working hard to improve my personal development, communications, and see Nathan sir somewhere in my life where I could meet him in person, or if not, even in Zoom. And this happened to me uh,
Mm.
today, and I'm extremely grateful for the path, for sure. But the point is, there is a lot of things that you have personally done in your life, Nathan sir, and we just wanted to see what are the top most 5 skills that you think that led you to where you are today, that so that our audience can also learn from this and see if they can get elevation in their career.
So, not in any particular order,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I will say if you have to do well in your, I won't say just career, but in your life and career,
Yes, yes.
have something on the side running for you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You must have something riding on the side for you. It is
Mm-hmm.
not work alone that
Mm.
will make a person out of you.
Wow.
They always say that it takes a village to raise a child.
Mm.
So
Yes,
Absolutely.
all it means is differentiated experiences,
correct,
learning coming from everywhere.
correct.
Mm.
So you got to have something which is running outside. So for me, at some point in time, it was working in the community.
Mm.
Mm.
So helping people. So helping people discover themselves. So one of my bylines is helping people discover their potential.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
so you need to have something. So I joined National Human Resources Development almost 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the largest body of human resources professionals in India.
Mm.
And my job, which I defined for myself, is that of a helper.
Wow.
A helper is a person who's a busybody, who will just move things from one place to other, just hang around, and just be of some small value to people who are about. And so I think that's important. So the moment you do that and you then put your soul into it, you will find that there are a lot of other unintended consequences that happen. So you got to have something running for
Mm,
yourself. The
mm,
second most important thing for building your career is a network.
yes.
A network is your net worth.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful
Today,
said. Yeah.
you can say, I can pick up a phone and I can speak to somebody. If somebody says that, that person is very well networked. And
Mm,
when you go into an evening where you meet friends, people who you don't even know, seek out those and spend quality time with them. When you are spending time of even those 3 minutes,
yes.
those 3 minutes must be a value where you're not looking at your mobile, you're not looking at any other person in the room. Just be present in those 3 minutes. It'll seem like 30.
Undivided attention. Yes.
It can go miles. So I think that's another. Be curious.
Oh, wow.
Be curious.
Yeah.
There are lots of things happening around you and I,
Right.
Yes.
and we just need to be curious. What does this mean? There are patterns. What patterns do I read into it? How will that really help me? What are the analytics that I can get out of this? What does this truly mean? How can I see around corners, as it were? I think that's going to be important in helping build a career. Um, Build strong relationships with people who could be your mentors and your sponsors. You need to have a mentor in your life.
Yes.
If you can find a mentor, then I think you have hit a jackpot.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my God.
You need a mentor because these are people who can look in the eye and tell you things that you may not like hearing, but they mean well
Mm,
for you. I think that's extremely
absolutely.
important. If you're going to be building a career, that's going to be important.
Absolutely.
Um, the last one is look for differentiated experiences.
Mm,
So don't look for the same thing. The same thing is experience, but
mm,
look for what I call as exposure. Differentiated experience is all about exposure. Do different things. If you
mm,
do different things, you will add a lot of knowledge. You'll add a lot of knowledge. Growing up, I was told you should be an expert in one area and you should be a generalist in the other. So it is almost like a T.
Right.
right.
If you look at
Like fan, like
an alphabet T, so
yes.
you have one as a generalist, and then as I grew, I was told that you now have to be a pie.
Huh.
A pie has got two of those pillars with one arch on top.
Wow.
So that made sense because I said, okay, at least a couple of areas.
Yes.
Today, the world is moving over at a rapid pace, where today you're looking at a comb. You
Mm,
got to have several things. You can't be.
yeah.
You can't be.
Yeah.
But what can help you is look for those things that maybe you don't have all the teeth that you find in a comb. But can you aspire to learn a little bit about that? Can a little bit, a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit. And
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
final one is find an interesting person to speak with. I'll tell you what an interesting conversation is.
Yes,
An
please. Yes.
interesting conversation is when you speak to somebody, you don't speak much.
Mm,
You get the person to speak.
Mm.
Pretty much like what you guys are doing today, right? On this. But I think that is important because there's
wow.
so much of learning that happens in just a short period of time. It's just incredible. We become a lot more knowledgeable by
Wow.
just that.
No,
Like
I
for
get,
instance, I have
yes.
uh, a, a reverse mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a very, very young person. So he'll come and tell me all about what is AI, ML, what is the cloud, what's the latest technology, what is it that I'm completely blind to. So
Wow.
he will tell me a lot of things. And looking back, I think that they have been the greatest conversations. And you really learn a lot through these conversations.
Mm.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you. Just for our audience to summarize, the skills that we should be focusing is more on being curious, networking. Even though networking has this bad connotation, but don't look at networking as a networking. Think of it more like a proximity, but your network is your net worth. The next one is build relationships with your mentors outside of your comfort zone, sometimes with your sponsors. The next one is look for experience, not regular experience. Doing the same thing every year is not called as
Sure.
experience,
Yeah.
but look for a differentiating experience. And the last one is listen first.
Yeah.
Listen to the other person, what the other person wanted to say. So even the 3 minutes conversation can give you 30 minutes worth of value.
And definitely, this is exactly what we have been talking about in all our podcast interviews, honestly, sir, because we personally, me and Sai, have a mentor. We are working with a mastermind group within our own area where we constantly are challenging ourselves. When you touched the first point, which was making sure that you help and grow from that, is something we totally believe in. This is from Jay Shetty, where if you win, it's not a win. If I win, it's not a win. But if we win together, then it's an actual win. And it's really powerful because that's what I totally believe in. Sai believes in that we need to be able to add value to someone else's life is the reason why we are here today, so that everyone else can get the exposure, which is what the differentiating experiences is. And there are so many people from different experiences come to this, where they can learn about the different exposure again, so that they can develop their own personality and their life as well. And the proximity is mind blowing because it's been told to us that we are the average of 5 people we hang out with. And it's something I totally agree. And amazing, amazing content for sure. So thank you so much for giving us that. Yeah.
Now, on the same line, sir, I wanted to ask you one thing about being a talent officer for South Asia is a lot of work. So I just wanted to understand for our audience. On top of it, you are doing a lot more things. What is your daily routine looks like?
Okay, I don't do multitasking. So
Mm.
multitasking is not what I do. I take one thing, I just finish that. I love, and he talks about the list. I try to prepare a list. I think it's important looking at priorities. But in the list of priorities, I must have something which is outside of my work.
Mm-hmm.
So I start my day early at about 6:30 in the morning,
Mm,
and I end my day
mm,
at about 6:30 formally,
mm.
but I will then continue to work.
Yes.
I enjoy movies, I have to write, I have to read,
Yes.
I do all that in between. But there are times of the day when I do something called decompression. By
Mm-hmm.
decompression, which means that I will not look at any other thing. If I finish work and if I'm traveling back home, I will not think about work, I will not call anybody. I will
Mm.
just be in that moment because when I come home, then another, I'm completely rejuvenated. It
Wow.
would not take me more than 10 minutes to rejuvenate myself. I don't call this meditation, I'm just looking at emptiness
Yes. Yes. Yes.
because I don't want anything to come in at that time. Because if you decompress, today, in today's time, where it's not expansion of time that has occurred because of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
it's because of our inability to manage time boundaries,
Mm.
inability to manage ourselves, not even time. You cannot
Mm.
manage time, you can manage yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
So, this elasticity that has occurred is because of our mind.
Mm.
So, the
Absolutely.
better way to handle it, at least for myself, what I do is I like to punctuate it by saying, I'm going to work this time, and then this is a time that is me time.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I keep
Absolutely.
that absolutely there. So I don't suffer anything. Even for example, today is a weekend.
Yes.
It's but I don't feel stressed out.
Yes.
I still think it's a very nice conversation.
I
It's
love
a
it.
good thing to do. I'm
Yes.
going to get on another conversation.
Yes.
As long as I don't let work into creep into this, I'm fine. But if you enjoy work, it's fine. But
Yes.
don't. I don't think that must be the only thing defining your life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you got to move away from that. If you like a movie, watch a movie. You like music, you want pubbing, you do whatever. Anything that you do at that frills periphery, call what you will,
Mhm.
must be in moderation.
Absolutely.
And
Mm.
then you can come back to what is important. So,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
on that
Absolutely.
note, I must tell you this morning has been just fantastic for me.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dave and Bharat. I could just go on forever.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree that we have crunch of time and we want to respect, because especially we're talking about time and being present. And I know there are a lot of other things you are focused on for today. And this was an extraordinary experience for us. And I would want us to, host you again if at all possible in near future,
Sure,
so that we can
sure.
continue talking about the other topics. But really grateful for this opportunity, Nathan sir, and we will be happy to see you again soon. So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you so much for taking the
And let me
time.
throw
Yeah.
one more